Hello, folks. This is Chris, KY4CKP. This week on LCARA HAMRadio, can mobile HF mix with your wife's new car? The adventure begins this week on LCARA HAMRadio. All right, folks. So we're back down here in the project layout room, otherwise sometimes known as the dining room. And I just wanted to, as I'm organizing for this project, I just wanted to kind of document it like I did when I put radios in my car. And I just wanted to show off the components that I've begun accumulating for the project. I've got most everything I need. I still need to research a proper duplexer. Hopefully such a beast exists for what I'm going to be doing. I think that may be about it, maybe some miscellaneous hardware here and there. But let's just kind of go over the main components that I've accumulated so far, and we'll just talk about this. We don't always get to put a radio in our wife's car, and so she allowed me to do this. But she does want me to keep it absolutely as neat as possible and unobtrusive as possible, and also easy to keep things out of the way when I'm not going to be in the vehicle. So things don't have to be in her face all the time. So let's just kind of run through these major components, and this will be kind of a part one for the project. We have a trip cross country to California coming up in about a month, and so hopefully you'll have seen at least part two. Not sure how many parts there'll be, certainly by then. So let's go ahead and get started and just kind of take a tour of these components that we have here. So let's start with kind of the big one. What I decided to try to do at least is to use my Yaesu FT991 Alpha as the radio for this project. Now the reason for that is because this radio has not only HF, not only 6 meters, but it also goes down, to 2 meters and 70 centimeters, and has C4 FM as well as USB out cat control. So the goal is going to be to try to use this radio to have the best of all worlds in this vehicle through a single radio. Now, if I can't work that out, we may do something else. I think at worst, the only thing I'll have to do is possibly have two antennas. I'm trying to not have two antennas. So let's move on to the antenna part of this. Some of you will recognize what this is. This is the ATOS 120 Alpha. I have this antenna on my car. I use it with the FT 891, which is just a HF antenna. It does 6 through 40 meters. But with this add-on, the ATBK 100, which is a radial set, it can go down to 2 meters and 70 centimeters. Now, I don't use that on my vehicle, but again, with the 991A able to go down to those settings, we're going to see if we can make a single antenna work or not. Now, this radial set, it's a lot bigger than I thought it was. You see some pictures online, but there's almost none of them show really much of a reference point. So we'll see. But those two main radials, they're a little over 24 inches, maybe 27 inches. So may not be something you use actively going down the road, but if you stopped and you've set up somewhere, you just slip it onto the base of the antenna, and there's a couple of set screws in there. So we'll see how that works out, but that may let me get away with a single antenna. I've got some extra cabling, some extra coax. This is pretty heavy. It may be too heavy to work with. If I need to get something thinner, I will. But it's always good to have some links of coax laying around when you do portable or mobile or anything else. Now, one of the other things with the 991A, I bought the bracket. Now I could have tried to fabricate something, but again, being my wife's car, I wanted to keep everything as nice looking as possible. Now that's not to say that I can't make something fairly nice and paint it black and stuff, because the bracket's not going to show very much. But I just told her, I said, well, you're going to let me put a radio. I'm going to spend some extra money, get really nice brackets and things. And she didn't really have any problems with that. So I've temporarily put this bracket in. Now I don't have any screws on this side because I had these portable Zero aluminum handles on there, which they're really high quality. They're not inexpensive, but they're really high quality. And I use them on a lot of my radios, 891s and the new FTDX10. And I was just doing a test fit. Could I run both? Could I have the bracket to mount the radio? I'm thinking on the back of the rear seat in her car. We'll see how it works out. But could I have these? Because I like having these because they help give you some protection in the front. Now, I got the green because I kind of like the army green, but if I end up using them with the bracket, I'll probably use Plasti Dip and paint them sort of a medium red. That would better fit her color scheme, and it's something I could take off later. So we'll see whether I actually keep those on there or not. But I've got the bracket, and we'll see about good mounting positions. And we've got our antenna. May go to a secondary antenna for 2 meters, 70 centimeters. We'll see. Power supply. Well, she has a 2020 4Runner, and it has AC power in the back. So instead of running stuff all the way into the engine bay and stuff, I'm going to see maybe about just using this Yaesu power supply, the FB1023. I actually got it with this radio from another ham, and we'll just see about using that. Mount that in the back, and of course that'll give us a nice solid 13.8 for the radio. And I've also got an external speaker that we can mount closer to the front so we can hear better, since that'll be mounted behind the back seat towards the rear of the vehicle. And just kind of moving along, I've got a piece of flat network cable. I use this for the 891 because the 891 body is in the back of my car, but the 891 does have a removable head. So to bring the microphone forward, used a coupler. So I got some couplers, and it worked really well. So I'll do the same thing here for the 991. Now the 991 doesn't have a removable head, and we're going to talk about that here a little bit later. I've got some other miscellaneous parts, some barrel connectors, some right angle connectors, some braided cable that also has grommets already in it to work on the bonding and grounding of the vehicle. Probably need a few more things, but I figure I'd just get some small bags, because it seems like if you're in amateur radio very long, you just kind of end up needing this stuff for various projects. And instead of buying one or two at a time just for one project, I just bought some bags. Now, one of the things I'm excited about for this project is this bracket right here. This is from Rago Manufacturing, R-A-G-O, Rago Manufacturing. They're a small manufacturer, but they make custom parts for several 4x4 off-road type vehicles. Toyota is one of their big ones. And so this is custom designed for the 4Runner. You put this on the top of the dash at the center. You do have to drill some holes, but they supply all the brackets and hardware to put it in. They have some nice installation videos. That's all stainless steel. That's all powder coated stainless steel. It's never going to rust. And it's really nicely custom fit. If you know the 4Runner, there's that clock right at the top center of the dash. This form fits right over that. It's very low profile, but it's very heavy duty, being steel. And it's going to give me some nice solid mounting points for the components of this install. So I'm excited about that. It did take a little while to get that back from powder coat. You can get it raw if you want to paint it or powder coat it yourself. I had them do it, and it did take just a couple extra weeks. Here's my antenna mount, the Diamond K400C. These are great mounts. A lot of people have used them. This is what I've got on my car for the ATOS 120A. It's worked great for a year and a half or more, maybe coming up on 2 years now. So I'm going to use that for the main antenna. And kind of moving along here. To go with the bracket from Rago, I've got some RAM mounts. Decided to go ahead and go with RAM mounts. There's other alternatives for a lot of this stuff. Some of it's cheaper, some of it's probably more expensive. I decided to go ahead and go with RAM mounts. I've never used them before, but I just want to keep things neat and organized. So I've got a phone mount, heavy duty phone mount, the small mount for that, which again can screw right into that mount once that's in the car. And then I've got the bigger, heavier duty mount, because the way I'm going to run this radio is this guy right here. This is a Windows tablet. It's just an inexpensive Windows tablet, but it'll run the Win4 Yaesu software. I did a video on that a while back that gives you remote control of a lot of the Yaesu radios. And I've tested it with, I was using it and testing it with the FT991A. Also, it'll run the FTDX10, the 101, 3000, several models. So that tablet, not the keyboard, but the tablet, I've got this 10-inch tablet mount, which is from RAM Mount as well. And that'll mount on this heavy duty. May not need that. This is really, the smaller one's really pretty heavy duty. But, well, I'll go ahead and get the bigger one that can handle more weight. So that's going to be part of the grand experiment of, can I really live with controlling the radio with, with that tablet. But in my testing it and using the Win4 Yaesu on my laptop here in my office, and really it works fine. Gives you pretty much everything you want to do with the radio. Even all the advanced settings with this 991, all the advanced settings you can pull up in the Win4 Yaesu. So that should work pretty nicely as a remote head. So that's the project that's coming up. We've got about a month before we're going to leave. So I'm going to be starting on this, making a few more final decisions on mounting and stuff. But I just kind of wanted to go over that, show that off, show some things I'm doing. And then, of course, we'll also be documenting the actual install process as that moves along as well. So that's pretty much it for this one, folks. This is Chris, KY4CKP, for Lake Cumberland Amateur Radio Association, 73.